Hi, everybody. I am Holly Celiano, and today I have a very special guest, Miki Klann, with me today. Miki, thank you so much for being here today.
I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me,
I'm
Holly.
so excited you are on here. So, you have Bonds for the Win. You also are working on how to help everyone break free from the system. You're working with Maureen Steele on Operation Restoration, and you really are paving the way for everyone to how to be, I don't like to use the word sovereign, but how to be their own self-governing being on the planet, which it's what we all need to do. It's how we break free by us taking our power back because it is the power in the people, not in governments. And you really are paving the way for that. So, welcome.
Thank you. It is definitely 90% spirit war, 10% paper.
It
And
is
we experienced that with the Bonds for the Win movement, and we're definitely experiencing that now. We're moving through a thick veil
that
of
we
fear.
are.
And, now we're moving as a body sovereign. So it's not just me and my own personal sovereign choice to be, have all my needs met and to be set free and to step out of debt slavery and into a state of complete prosperity. We have to do that as a collective. And I don't know if you've followed that, but it's like in other ascension cycles, it was just one guru that did the ascension, but now it's all of us rising. We're all ascending. And so we have to ascend as a body sovereign, make moves together, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's not just, I'm going to take care of me and forget everybody else. It's, I want to have everybody come with me. It's the entire planet needs to rise up because the planet is rising up.
Absolutely. We're all learning internally first, and then it only can play out externally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. So, in listening to your show that you did with Maureen Steele, I have quite a few questions for you because this is something that everybody wants to do, but they're not educated enough on what to do, how to do it. So, um, these bonds that you have, somebody listening, if these bonds can take the power back for the people, to have these school boards step down,
Mhm.
then you don't want to have, there's a fine line with having the bonds used for any agenda that you want to push. So
Mhm.
that's something, somebody listening to this with me this weekend was like, well, they could use those bonds to do any agenda. Just saying, I have the power and you're going to do my bidding because I'll pull a bond on you. So what would
They've
you say?
already bonded each and every one of us. We're all fully bonded and enslaved, and every good slave comes with a set of papers. And they bonded you from the minute you were born, and they started trading you on the open markets, and they put a value on your name from the minute you were born, right? Because you're going to pay taxes into their faulty system eventually, right? So they were able to, when you were born, create a birth certificate, and they put that in a trust. They called it your estate, and they basically said, if you don't claim this trust within 7 years, we'll claim it for you. We'll put this beautiful little soul print, SOLE, and we'll put it under the Vatican, and we'll make sure you're dead on arrival and that you amount to nothing. So that's how they bonded us. I think having 9 public servants in Maricopa County out of 4.5 million people being bonded to we the people is the way it should be, because
Right.
they're serving us. They're our body politic. We are the body sovereign. We sit way up here, and they're the body politic. They're administrators. They sit way down here. We've lost track of authority. God is in control of this realm, not man's laws.
I agree with you.
And he's ready to take it back because children are getting vaccinated straight out of birth, straight out of
Oh,
the canal,
yeah.
straight out. Guys, we're
Horrible.
talking next generation. We don't survive this if we don't step up now.
I agree. It is the reason I do what I do. If we don't have a voice and put an end to this madness and we're aware of this, there will be no more generations.
No,
We're lost. We are on the brink of annihilation right now.
we cannot be putting our energy toward the symptoms of the cancer. We need to be putting our energy to the core, the root cause of
Correct.
the cancer. And the root cause is, this is the most amazing thing. This is where all the power is. Because when you understand this, it's literally just an illusion of our mind. It's all just MK Ultra. They had to follow the law. They had to follow the law. The devil had to follow the law. So these are just corporations making up laws. So if we've spent our time thinking about voter fraud for a corporation that we don't have jurisdiction over, because it's like McDonald's, they can change their voter rules whenever they want.
Right.
We can't ever win in their playground. You got to move it back to a republic. Leave, you know what I mean? Leave the corporate fakery and go back to the republic. And there's a lot of rolling up of sleeves. There's a lot of taking back the kingdom. There's a lot about declaring and decreeing over those you want to protect and defend. It's really get off the couch. We've been watching and learning and waking up long enough. Now it's time to take action to clean up our communities, because they're poisoning every last one of us. They're bonding every last one of us. They're enslaving every last one of us. We're all part of the same planet. And all eyes are on America. So the
Yes.
way Russia looks at it, Russia's looking at two wars right now, guys. Every other country in the world, we're all awake. There's many, many awakened all throughout the world. They're watching Israel and America. Why? Because we're both getting invaded. This is the first time America's been invaded. What are you going to do about it? Thought we were in the land of the free, home of the brave. Let's stand. And I'm not telling you guys to pick up a gun. I'm telling you, it's a modern war for your mind. The bullets are the vaccines. If you could hear them, you'd be a lot more alert. Okay. Listen to them for a minute, guys. Listen to the bullets flying right now and the people dying. Go check out the morgues. Do you know what I'm saying? We're in war.
Right.
And we're the ones being called up in America now. We're the ones who are brave. We're the affluent ones. We're the ones who won't stand for this, because we know that our forefathers fought and died for the Republic, you know?
Well,
And it
it's
only took
basically
12 brave people in each county.
we're doing a whole nother revolutionary war,
Yeah.
standing up and saying no, because we've been so dumbed down,
Yeah.
just lulled into submission. People don't even recognize what their God-given rights are.
Right. They don't. And so let's talk about the bonds. Really, when it comes to a public servant, they're not an elected official. Elected officials in their fake, phony, false corporate environment. That's all null and void. All fraud vitiates everything it touches. So ripe it, because they're all just masquerading as government. None of that matters. We call in the military, they roll them out. They're out, we're in. If I handed you the keys to the kingdom tomorrow, what would you do with it? Right. And the fact is, we need to bond those that are going to work for us. And the first bond they give us is their oath, because your word is your bond. We give bonds all the time. We operate in trust. It's walking on air. We give expressed, implied, or written trust all the time to one another. You're trusting me to have you on your show.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? That's trust. We're all walking in trust and faith. And so when we operate in that higher realm and we operate in trust and faith, then we have to realize we're always bond to each other. So the way that the servants used to operate is more like they were servants' hearts. They would care about their country. They care about their community. They're willing to risk their lives to be our servants.
Right.
They're not our authority. They're our servants. And so in the Republic, we're looking for those, we're looking for those people who will, A, sign an oath to us. That's it. That's how you know who your enemies are. Have they signed an oath to you or the corporation?
Right. So, question I have for you. Is there a document to prove to the American people that the USA is a corporation and a foreign entity? And if it is, where's their proof? Because this becomes, those that there, it's almost like there's a split of the mind thinking, and also there's two constitutions. So is there proof on both of those? That's a big,
Absolutely. There's
okay.
proof everywhere. There's proof when you look for it. Because remember, we live in a consciousness realm. If you want proof, just pull it in. It's everywhere. There are thousands of channels on Telegram that have been sharing this. We've been posting on our website, thepeoplesoperationrestoration.com. Trump came out and he dissolved the corporation at the national level. Dr. Jan Helper Hayes has come out. Go check out all of her clips. She's confirmed everything for everybody. Biden is the president of a defunct. She said it, and go grab that clip if anybody wants. She says Biden is only the president of a corrupt, dissolved foreign corporation called District of Columbia. He is an actor. Trump played the same role to take out the enemy. But in the background, you always had two governments, guys. I think we always had it because it was only 1 week before JFK Sr. was assassinated that he sent the plans to the Navy to restore all 35, at that time, probably 50 state republics because he knew how valuable they were. I've talked on the phone to the people. They've looked at those plans. They're operating in that private capacity right now because it is our duty, and we are derelict of our duty under the organic constitution the original forefathers set up. If we don't hold these positions out of necessity as volunteers until a fair and safe election can be held. So I believe ever since probably the mid 60s, late 60s, we've actually had two governments running. And I believe Trump has done everything by the book. I think he was always operating in private. He said he would never share any of his plans. This was a massive enemy. And I don't know how deep you go into that research, but
Oh,
I've researched this a
I've
lot.
gone deep. Yes,
Yeah.
I've gone very deep.
I mean, when Trump went in early 2017, he got every country to capitulate. He's the best leader, guys. No one has received more stones cast at him than Trump as he took out the core of that enemy. He went and he put them in check. He laid on all the proof, Saudi Arabia first, and then you saw a massive wave of resignations through the elite. Okay,
Right,
because only the king carries the sword. Even Dr. Jan Helper Hayes has confirmed this information, right? And she's working for the new DOD.
right,
So, guys, they're dripping it. It's all around us. It's just now you have to step into your power, and all you have to do is audit. So you can send a FOIA request. If you go to bondsforthewin.com, you can see there's samples in every state, and you can send a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act request, to anyone who's calling themselves their board of commissioners or your board of supervisors in your county level or any level, state, whatever, board, school district, et cetera. And you can request their oath of office, their liability policy, and their oath, sorry, their bond. And all three are illegitimate because the first one, the oath, they've signed to a foreign corporation. If you see anything in all caps or anything inside a box, it's null and void. It's their pirate syntax. It's all corporate. If you ask for their bond, you should be able to file a claim against that, right?
yeah,
Otherwise, it's not legit. Most people get caught up in the details of the policy, but basically they're all bonded to each other. So it's all just another fraudster game. They're not bonded to us, guys. And then third, if you ask for their liability policy, they're not covered for criminal liability. Their masters are telling them to do something and they're all personally liable.
right. So you have all of that on your Bonds for the Win website.
Yeah, if anyone wants to follow that 3-step process, but the thing is, Bonds for the Win we ran 2 years ago. That was before we pulled back a curtain or a veil and realized they're all fraud.
Okay.
And we realized it worldwide. And it was, if we hadn't done that worldwide audit, I wouldn't be able to come back with this information. Not a single bond paid out.
Wow.
Thousands of people served. Thousands of people tried to file a claim. Not a single bond paid out. That tells you they're fraudsters. They're masquerading as government. They are not our government. They have zero authority over us, and we have zero authority over them. We need to have the military come take them out as we rebuild our kingdom because we have the right to do that. We have the right to abolish any fake, phony, false corporate government posing as something to dissuade and distract and kill the people.
Right.
See, again, from the beginning, the forefathers, they set up 35 separate state republics because they knew they had to protect against domestic overreach, domestic government overreach, not foreign, but domestic.
Right.
We sign an oath. The people that have joined the military have signed an oath to protect against foreign and domestic. It's a battle for the mind. That's all it is because it's 9 people in Maricopa County versus 4.5 million.
Right.
Imagine a little pirate ship and they're just up there making their fake laws and their fake phony fuckery, and we're showing up to it. Sorry to
Well,
swear.
because they control us through fear. I mean,
Yeah.
that's how they control us through everything. It's bombardment of fear from the time we're born to the time we die, and people buy into the fear.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. We're bought into fear. It's only fear. And it's so easy to cut through it if you feel that it's the timing for you. But it has to feel right. You have to center yourself and ask yourself, am I safe? Is God moving me? Is it the time? Is
right,
it the time? I don't want to end up in jail. I want to end up here in this sovereign space with my friends. That's where I want to end up. Is it time? Is it the time? I asked those questions before we started Bonds for the Win, and it was a very spiritual decision. You know, we had 3 wins. We had one in Illinois, then we had one in North Carolina. They were both going virtual, like viral. And because they were going viral, the people were ready to see, they were ready to hear, they were ready to make a shift. Only because it's going viral is how you know it's the timing. Does that make sense? So
Right.
once we had the 2 wins, I served in Maricopa County, and that's when we said we got to go national. Let's post our process and procedure online. Next thing you know, bonds were flooding in. We had blanket bonds for Ducey, Newsom, Inslee, Brown. We were posting online. They covered every single school district in the whole entire state, and we were telling everyone just go get them. At that time, they were threatening forced inoculations to our kids in school. The parents were highly motivated. And as a matter of fact, women are far more likely to fight for their offspring than they will for themselves.
Yes, I agree. Do you have the processes, because people have asked me this, for getting an alloidial title on your property and how to get rid of, the mortgages and not pay taxes and getting rid of, all kinds of debt? Is there any forms or processes that you have on that?
There are millions, and everyone's getting out. But what are we going to do if 1% of the people escape the matrix? How does that solve the problem?
Doesn't. We need
That's just
everybody.
running. That's fear. That's flight or flight. Let's
Right,
fix the problem. Let's go straight for the cancer. They're
right,
not even legitimate.
right,
When everyone sees the emperor with the pants down, it's not a problem anymore, is it?
right,
And right now, yes, they're stealing all of our land, and we're letting them. And then they make so many processes to get out of their claims. And then they throw in their sheriffs. And we're about to show you what's happening to Cataspenda. And we want the whole world to see this stuff now because she's trying to stand up for the fact that no one ever funded her loan. There's no proof of anyone ever funding her loan. So she decided to stand up to the mortgage companies, and she served them. She served the sheriff. She served everyone. Now they're trying to do a short sale on the deed. That's just a piece of paper. That's not the home. They're
right.
doing a full short sale, full intimidation, and we've got Sheriff Lenka, and this is how a real de jure sheriff operates. She protects the people, who's going to show up in Washington to watch Kat stand up against this deed short sale amongst all this intimidation. It's insane.
It is. And I can't even tell you how many people reach out to me that are losing their houses in foreclosure. And they're like, please, Holly, do you have any information? And I mentioned I was having you on. So for those in foreclosure, what can you tell
We
them?
go serve the county assessor's office, and that's what I'm doing next week. Forget about trying to get out of your mortgage. You're not going to get out of it. The banks are too powerful. Get out, we're not going to get out of these things just one-offs and one-offs. Right now, they're foreclosing on 250 homes in Maricopa County every month. 250 homes. That's 250 people that are being uprooted after they paid what in equity? 80%?
Right.
They don't get anything back. Nothing. They're just tossed out. Someone will come move all their furniture and throw it out in front. They don't even care if it's raining.
Yeah. It's disgraceful what's happening.
And then people are dying from you look around your shoulder, you hope you don't get picked off by cancer next. I mean, we got to stop this.
Right.
And it's only 9 people claiming to be your government.
Right.
If every county took back their county, just even if those seats were vacated, just gone, just gone. I don't want anyone in those Honeywell Corporation seats.
Right.
They have no jurisdiction over us. We have no jurisdiction over them. Get them to shut up and then get everyone to focus on the solution. And what I really want is the database of 4.5 million so I can put out a public broadcast. And we need to serve all the media because they're all personally liable for who they work for and covering up high crime. So you catch them in the cover up. The latest strategy, which is far more powerful than the bonds for the win strategy. This is our second round. This is now with all the knowing. This is with all the people on the front lines that have proven these methods work,
Right.
that have proven common law is real. And if you don't believe me, go watch the people on the front line. They're fighting like one stick against a machine. Brave men and women that
Right.
I really wish I could give every single one of them a shout out right now. And they know who they are, but they work in the private and they know what they know, and they don't want infiltrators
Right.
because they know what they know. And they're picky about who they bring in their circles, very picky. And I will say this to all those men out there that are maybe, wondering, is it the timing? I would say it is the time to be brave. It is the time to use the pen. It is the time because there's 20 million people who just followed my movement, my move. Anyone could go out and get just as many views. It just means the world's ready to see it.
Yes.
They're
Yeah.
ready to see a win.
The time is now. People are sick and tired and they're fed up, but you have to get to that point when you are sick and tired of doing the same thing over and over, that we need a change. And
Yeah,
they want a remedy. They
they
want to
want
know, how
remedy.
do we fix this mess we're in, because they're waking up to the fact that all this credit card and mortgage is debt that's out of thin air that we're paying, and then you pay all this amount, you get kicked out of your house because you're late on a payment.
Even if you knew all the right paperwork, you could still get kicked out of your house because they're in line with the sheriffs. They're in cahoots with the courts. They're in cahoots
Right.
with the jail. And you got a backpack on your back. Remember, that Sesta KV trust that they opened in your name,
Yep.
they have access to that, not you.
Right.
So they can make trillions off of just keeping people in jail.
Yeah. Well, every time you go to court, they file bonds and make millions on that court case. That is an actual bond, that court case.
Yeah, so anyone can look that up on treasurydirect.gov. Enter your court case number, enter the dashed version, enter the non-dashed version, enter your social version, enter the dashed and non-dashed version. You'll find the bonds that they're trading you. These are money changers.
Yeah.
They're not a court system. There's no law and order whatsoever. You just have 678 infiltrated courts throughout your country. You don't have a single court that's there to protect you or your rights. These are all just money changers. You cannot hold the body as surety for a debt that the body does not owe.
Right.
That's considered human trafficking.
Right.
It's slavery. They cannot do that. And by the way Nixon changed it, he didn't mean to. I know he had a gun to his head. I know he was one of us, but after his term, he took us off the gold standard, number one, and then he also was forced to change it so that literally the district attorney, or sorry, the prosecuting attorney, when you walk in that courthouse, he's already covering both sides of the bench. Your defense attorney can only plea bargain because you're already guilty
Right.
just by setting foot on their pirate ship. And they're going to use words and like capital. They're asking you, what's your first and last name? Are you Michelle Klann? If you say yes to that, they are presuming and assuming you're saying yes to the all caps name,
Right.
not your real name. So they're talking to the crate they put you in, the corporation, not your living being. They can't serve your living being. Because the only way you can enter in that court is if you come in as a corporation. The lawyer can only represent you as a corporation. That's why it said the dead would rise in Christ, coming out of a corporate status and into the land of the living, into the Christ consciousness.
Right.
Yeah.
So for those that are losing their homes and in foreclosure, do you have paperwork, or what do you recommend to those people right now?
So Sheriff Linka in Orange County is the only person I know that knows start to finish how to get out of it. But she went through so much intimidation the whole entire way. I would much rather just go serve the people that are stealing the homes, because every employee for the county assessor's office is personally liable for this theft. Does that make sense?
Yes.
They're the ones pushing the paper. They're the ones doing it. So we got to go to the root cause to protect the whole kingdom versus just ourselves.
Okay.
You could spend the next year trying to get out of your mortgage. And I'm
Right.
not saying you shouldn't, but this is the other thing. What we're trying to do is, so you have the fake, phony, false corporate government. That's not even our government. But over here, you have what we can do is set up social compacts. So before I forget, I'm just going to drop, because I'm dropping a lot of information today. I know we only have so much time. So for the listeners who want to know our new 3-step process, go check out the peoplesoperationrestoration.com and look at the Take Action tab. And under that, you'll see the Maricopa County. You'll see all the paperwork we're serving. You'll see my speech. You'll see the 5,000-page document we serve them to let them know of all the high crimes that they need to stop covering up, because if they continue to cover it up, we caught them in the cover up. So high crimes are high crimes, but covering up high crimes makes you an accomplice. And that's what they're going to look at in the military tribunals. So everything is there. It is powerful. The paperwork is powerful. First, you give them a yellow card, then you give them a red card, then you give them the default notice. The default notice is pretty much like, okay, fine, we'll accept your plea of guilt. You owe each one of us $1.75 million per claim. So I made over $15.75 million. And when I get reimbursed on that through the proper system, through the new treasury, I will be putting that right back into the Republic. So this is how you debit the debtors of society. They've been debting us from the minute we woke up, we grew up. We're going to debit them. And the more pile we can debit them, the more debt they're piled all the way up to heaven. they will freak out. It's a shift of energy. It's a taking of offense. It's a saying, no more. Mm-mm. Here's your warning, because I know you're a teenager out of control. That's your yellow card. Here's the formal, show me your identification. Step 2 is red card. It's a red core warrant. Show me your damn identification. If you don't have an oath, you're not my government. You're killing people.
Right.
And any RoboCop that's standing in front of those offices are aiding and abetting a foreign insurrection. Period. So if they can't prove otherwise, and they can't, because God gave us the words no man can gainsay now, then they fall into default judgment. So they're guaranteed to fall into default judgment if they don't resign. So what we do as a community, all 4.5 million can keep piling on the debt while we go and forge our social compact. So this is fabulous. This is what the forefathers taught us how to do. So what is a social compact? What on earth are they? It's in every constitution. Basically, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to form a group of 2 or more. So just picture a council of 12. That's a good jury size. You get 12 people. And let's say you decide, I want to protect the people in my neighborhood. It's an HOA. I just found out that my HOA is actually putting liens on our properties. They're tracking us as we come in and out of the gate, and they're selling it upstream to the FBI. We can't have this anymore. Why don't we help everyone in our neighborhood get their mortgage forgiven? Why don't we help everyone in their neighborhood claim their land? Why don't we help everyone in the neighborhood, get these fools out of our administrative offices and bring back the republic so we can all show up and vote on how we want money spent from this day forth versus putting liens on our properties, right?
Right.
So you declare and decree over a given area. Let's say it's in this case, you're just your neighborhood. And then you declare and decree what you're going to do first, second, third, fourth on behalf of the neighborhood as far as benefits. And then you go seek the people that need it because now you're in a council of 12. What's beautiful of the council of 12 is now you have God as your executor. The trustees are anyone you hire to manage the paperwork and do the work. Maybe you're paying them. Maybe everyone flips in. I want my land patent. I'll pay $1,000. Wow, you already pulled it. All this is these little steps. You're going to do them for me. I'll pay you $1,000. Heck yeah.
Right.
Now I have my patent. And I get to pass it on to my heirs, and you're going to show me how to set up a trust. Oh, wow. That sounds like a great benefit, right? So you declare and decree over the area, but then you set up trustees, and then all the people that's showing up, the beneficiaries, showing up as membership. So there's no dictatorship. If one person came and left, they're just not part of it anymore. It doesn't fail. The intention of the trust, the social compact, the PMA, private member association, it doesn't fail for lack of anyone coming and going. Does that make sense? Because
Yes.
it's a trust. And so that's the same way you could declare and decree over a school district and get the 12 people in the PTO. You could declare and decree over a city, over a county, which is what I'm doing in Maricopa County. 4.5 million people. I believe we can create a safe house, a refuge for them to join our membership, right? Maybe they want to serve the bad guys. Maybe they don't want to be part of the demo. Maybe they only want to be part of the rebuild. Maybe we want to provide safe house for all those people that are harmed by the vaccine. Maybe we want to provide support for anyone who's got CPS coming after their kids. That's what a social compact would do.
I love this because what you're doing is set it instead of saying individually, I'm going to go, try to fight my mortgage and stop the foreclosure. You're saying let's just put an end to it in your entire town or county for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like instead of individually, this is how we take back our country. If you start going after all the individual counties and towns, and then it becomes a mass movement because how many people all over the country are losing their homes? Everybody. So if everybody starts doing this, they have to stop this insanity that they're doing. We win then as a people. Right.
As a body sovereign.
Yes.
That's how this forefather set it up. And that's why we can link that demo below with me and Maureen, where we go through the slideshow. We just explain, here's how they came and invaded. We never actually won the Revolutionary War. We won it for a time, but then they took it back through corporations.
Right.
So you're not talking to government officials. You're not begging. Sorry, I don't like the term, but that's basically what we're doing. Begging for a vote in a foreign corporation, which is run by redcoats who are here to steal, all, and rape and pillage. Why are we begging our oppressors to save us? Right. These are people, we know what they do now. We know about their rituals. We know who they sacrifice to. Why would we sacrifice to the people sacrificing to that?
Right.
No, they're frauds and they know it. They just don't know they're personally liable because they think they're safe behind the firewall of their corporation and all their RoboCops.
Right.
but they're not actually safe. You know why? Because we're going to serve every one of the RoboCops with the yellow card. Next time we go back, we're going to have, iPads, and we'll show them the suffering that's happening at the border. We'll show them the convulsions people are going in when they take these vaccines. We have to show every cop.
Right.
We have to serve every one of them. These are all participating in it.
Right. How did you get involved in this? Because this is fascinating that you have stumbled across this and you're running with it and educating everybody.
Well, I think God moves his pieces exactly the way they're supposed to move, right? And I just think I'm just an example of what everyone should do in their county. That's all I think you're about to see fireworks go off. You're about to see all these hometown heroes watching as board members run out of meetings like cockroaches when you start serving them in the papers. I mean, in Maricopa County, they've never been more threatened in their life by four little grandmas.
I
I mean, you
love
wouldn't believe these articles coming out. They're terrified. They're terrified of four little grandmas.
it. I love it.
Hmm. I mean, really, really, it's the truth hurts.
Right.
The truth hurts. There's already a guy that's saying he's not going to run for reelection. I mean, they're being used as pawns,
Right.
every one of them. What are they going to do when they're not safe? They turn on each other.
Do you think they really know what they're doing, or they're just doing what they're doing because it's a role that they took and they have no awareness?
None. I think it's an identity crisis.
Right.
They have
Right.
no awareness that they've never signed an oath to we the people, that they are not who they think they are. They have no authority over us whatsoever. And
Right.
we don't either because we're giving them all the authority.
Right. Exactly. Well, that's why we're in the mess we are, because we've never been educated.
Right. Well, okay, so I'll talk a few esoteric things. This is fascinating to me. But the Great Awakening was their worst nightmare
Mhm.
worldwide. And I find the alchemist on YouTube very fascinating. She'll talk about how, the powers that be was one big, huge pyramid. We're all just operating in a matrix of sorts. Everything was just stamping papers. We're just good little slaves doing as we do, trying to just keep up, just trying to keep food on the table, right?
Right.
Then the Great Awakening happened. And all of us paused. Many of us paused. And just that pause alone requires the powers that be, the 1% global elite, to turn up the dial of fear. They had to turn up the dial of fear to keep us scared. And they did. And the fear of war is one of the most, I think, stifling fears that we can face as human beings, right? And so, and we haven't felt that in America
No.
like they have in other countries, let's face it. And I feel for everything that's ever happened because those 1% global elite have funded both sides of every war since war began.
Yep.
And so the powers that be had to turn up the fear. Well, as soon as the people overcome their fear and they take back authority, and that will happen, it's inevitable, right? Because again, all that had to happen was that pyramid just pause and stop. As soon as
Right.
the people take back their authority over this realm, there's nothing that can stop what's coming. It's so inevitable because it's what we want.
Right. I agree.
Mhm.
That pause was so huge for people to really stop the insanity wheel.
Yeah.
We're just hamsters on a wheel, just every day, get up, spin, spin, spin.
Yeah.
When you pause, people are like, oh my God. Like even my kids now are like, there's got to be more to life than just this work, work, work. Like,
All the time.
right, right. Like, and they're getting it at a young age. Most of us have, been through that whole work cycle and we already, it's almost you have to numb yourself to just keep getting up doing it day after day.
Yeah. And we don't want this kind of life anymore. Like, I would really like to see the military come in. I would like to see the revaluation hit. I'd like to see, because Trump wasn't going to drain the swamp and not fill it with the largest foundation this world has ever seen.
Right,
So we have to be ready for the prosperity. We have to move through the fear and get ready for that prosperity because not only are we going to be forming social compacts, but we're going to be funded very soon. So
right.
people should be thinking ahead of, where do I want to land? Where's God moving me in all of this? Some
Exactly.
people are the lions and they're ready to be the protectors. They're ready to step up as kings of kings. You can't call yourself a king in the Holy Spirit if you're not ready to declare and decree over your kingdom and take some risk. Because
Right.
if I gave you the keys tomorrow, what would you do with it? Most people
But
don't want the
they're
keys.
not ready for it. They don't even
Right.
know what to do with them.
Right. They wouldn't know what to do with it. And that's happening in Florida. So in Florida, somehow, some way, the White Hats passed some bill to require an audit. for every single elected official all throughout all of Florida. We're talking cities, counties, states, all now have to report their income, especially anything over $2,000, because that might be a side deal. And we know their side deals generally run 2,000. That's why the White Hats, I think, put it right around 1,000. Anyway, Gina Freysick and I are working on Florida. She's heading it up. And basically what happened was they just have a mass exodus of elected officials.
Wow.
So what are the people doing? Oh, they're still out trying to gather signatures so they can run for the Death Star. They're still trying to gather signatures so they can get on the ballot. They're not even paying attention that half the people just left.
Right.
And that the deep state is forming, meetings in the private so they can get new Clooney's in there. And we're not even forming our meetings inside their own charters to claim those seats. I would prefer they're just out of there for good, because it's all part of the masquerade. If they're a corporation. If we don't run the corporation out of town, we don't win this war.
Correct. So
But
what,
I'm just saying it's interesting how that's happening and the people don't even see it.
right. So
Yeah.
what do you say to those that are ready to, run with the information that you have and start taking down their counties? How do they start? Just go start with the paperwork on bonds for the win? Because I know there's
Well,
a lot of people listening and so many are ready to just, take it down.
yeah, awesome. Excellent. So basically, Bonds for the Win was 3 easy steps, but those steps no longer work. Not that you can't use step one, it's just the bonds, they're not bonded. So filing a claim against them, you know what I'm saying, is not
Right.
really going to do much.
Okay.
So the 3-step process on Bonds for the Win back in 2021 was FOIA requests, get their information. You're basically auditing them, making sure they are who they say they are. Okay. Then we got good at forensics. We figured out how to read those oaths of office, which I don't really think anyone should bother with because we've already done this worldwide. We know they're all working for foreign corps. They all have Dun and Bradstreet numbers. Okay. And then last, we would then go and serve them. So the parents would go to the school districts and they'd say, look, these are the 27 state, national, and international laws you're breaking. Drop these mask mandates now, or I'm going to file a claim against your surety bond or your liability policy. And the liability companies were calling them saying, we don't cover this. This is criminal. You guys are practicing medicine without a license. You're force injecting. And what are you talking about? We don't cover this. And I think that's when they realized, oh crap, I'm left on a line. My boss doesn't have my back. I'm personally liable for this stuff that you guys are asking me, this agenda you're asking me to push. So it was a real wake up call. And it was a worldwide shift, because when the parents all did that en masse, and we did it within 3 months, and we were posting these bonds online, and everyone was serving. The devil couldn't see which direction anyone was coming, and all their little minions were realizing they're like out in the open. Does that make sense? Like all the
Yeah.
minions were realizing, oh, no one's got my back. So the parents were serving in mass. Next thing you know, Biden retracts the mask mandate for the entire U.S. All because parents are stepping up. Trump's stepping up stage going, good job, parents. Good job in those board meetings. You know what I'm saying? Like, good job. Keep
Right.
going. We will win. And so next thing you know, Biden retracts around mask mandates. Then it was in Canada. Then it was in Europe. Then it was in Australia. They were all releasing mask mandates everywhere. Next thing you know, the private schools couldn't keep that stupid agenda. So they dropped it. Then it was the colleges. Then it was all the department stores. Then it was all the airlines. So this was a domino effect. All it took was those 3 wins and posted online. And next thing you know, everybody was on the move. And so this time through, we're doing a different process. We know now who we're dealing with. Before, we didn't know really who we were dealing with. We thought they were our public officials, but they're not. They work for foreign corporations. So now the 3-step process is, look, resign now. Resign within 3 days. Otherwise, you're looking at military tribunal. This is a foreign insurrection. So that's the first yellow card. And that's our courtesy. It's a courtesy to them.
You have to have them shaking in their boots to get that yellow card.
Well, they're all doing it. So it's all the paperwork is on there. It's a notice of liability. You, Mr. Board member, you are personally liable here, buddy. I don't care who you work for. Under the common laws, you're a living man, right? You can't prove you're not living. Can't hide behind that firewall anymore. I see you, right? So this paperwork is using common law. It's a law above maritime.
Right.
So you remember they hid maritime. They hid all these laws from us. You have maritime at the lowest. Only reason it's lowest is because you have to be a corporation to enter there. It was more for corporation to corporation lawsuits. They've turned us into corporations to manipulate our mind, but
Right.
it's still a fabric of your mind, because if you can outsmart them, you don't have to play in that game. The step up is common law. Common law is the land of the living. This is the law of the land, right? And this is what Jesus was teaching. This is what many of the prophets ahead of us were teaching, was common law. Form your ecclesias, do a trial by peers. Because in a trial by peers, it's about social, acceptance. No one wants to have to be in a trial by peers and explain why they hurt a child.
Right.
Okay. So in the common law, we serve them man to man, woman to woman. You are the one perpetrating this fraud. You are the one liable for this fraud. So in step two, we're handing them a writ of quo warranto with a waiver of tort, which is just like a traffic ticket. Got 30 days. If they don't respond or rebut to these challenges, they go into default judgment of guilt. So they have 30 days to prove who they are. Think of it like asking for their ID. They've been asking for our IDs, so now we're just asking for their IDs. Show me proof. Under what authority do you have? If you've never signed an oath of office to we the people in the republic, and you don't have a bond, and you're committing fraud by voter fraud and all this other crap, and on top of that, you're masquerading as government, this is a foreign insurrection. That's what this is. This is a red coat. That's how you identify a red coat. And when you demand that the red coats show you their credentials, they can't. They can only run. When they go into default judgment, which they can't even avoid, right? Then you send them a notice of default judgment. Here's your true bill. Here's when it's due. And we're going to send you to arbitration. And we're also going to send you the military, and we're going to keep, collecting.
I love it. And you have that paperwork where people.
All on the website. So the People's Operation Restoration.com, take action, check out what's going on in Maricopa County. We've now distributed this paperwork to everyone. You're about to see fireworks go off in every state. It's inevitable.
Awesome. I
Step
mean,
up, join your community. There's tactical civics groups that have formed groups within your community. You can go find them on tacticalcivics.com. There are groups like In Motion by Cal Washington. So if you check out him, let's see, he's also got paperwork that people are using. Sorry, Empower. He's got an app that he's using. It's called Mighty. And so he's just like us. He's doing the paperwork. They're getting people to stand down throughout the world, dukes, duchesses, all sorts of people through that paperwork, because he's going on 4 different cases. He's going on the things that are consistent throughout every country. So the vaccine injuries, the smart meters, the chemtrails, and the 5G. A whole lot of keywords for people to block us there.
you know what I just heard from somebody I talked to is it was oh my goodness, what's the begins with a T, the phone company, T-Mobile. They just said, this was one of the executors was telling a friend of mine that they have AI in the phone company. If they're listen to your calls, if they don't like what you're saying or think that it shouldn't be out there, they can just turn you off. You won't be able to make a phone call, you won't be able to text. They have that already in the phone systems. It's not just going to be T-Mobile, it's going to be all the phone companies are going to start adopting this.
They're
That's
tracking
great.
everything. They're tracking your front doorbell through that service. They're tracking you through all the light bulbs. They're tracking you in every way they possibly can. But again, I want to give people some peace of mind, because in 2016, when Trump took presidency and he said he was going to bring power back to the people, right? When he won that election, we haven't had a single bomb dropping since. Not the way they were. Obama was dropping bombs every 9 minutes. So it was when Trump took that presidency that all of our friends became our enemies and our enemies became our friends. And we took over all that surveillance. So now we're actually surveilling the bad guys.
Mhm.
And we have it all. We have it all. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to have this conversation on Zoom. Rumble wouldn't still be up. BitChute wouldn't still be up. With all the power they had over technology and AI, trust me, we won this war. We just have to feel the labor of it, because if we don't earn this, we won't keep it.
Right. We have to stand up. It's we, the people, standing up and taking our country back, taking our power back. It's not the government stepping in and doing it for you. It's
Or the
not,
military.
or the military. No, it's us. It's up to each and every one of us.
Do you know why? And that's how the forefathers set it up, is we had the jurisdiction over our state. They had only formed a union to protect against that domestic, that foreign invasion or foreign election fraud or whatever, or foreign, acts of war.
Right.
But now we're talking about where we are right now is we have to take back jurisdiction of our states, our cities, counties, states. And we are the only ones who have that authority. Trump doesn't,
Right.
not on
Yeah.
the original four founding paperwork.
So many people are sitting back waiting for the military to step in or waiting for Trump to do something or waiting for somebody.
Trump's waiting for you.
Yeah, we've been given the keys to the kingdom. It's up to us to stand up and take the power back.
And that's how nature works. That's how God's kingdom works. He raises up those that want to take that role. He'll raise us up to take that role amongst our communities.
Right. Well, you are paving the way. You are a forerunner, and thank you for doing that for everybody because you're proven that it does work. You have proven, don't let fear stop you. You have the power. I've done it, you've done it. You stand up and don't let people intimidate you. And
Yeah,
you
well, I have a feeling Maricopa County in Arizona, there's only 15 counties in Arizona. I think Maricopa will probably be the last to fall. I think we're going to have to put pressure on all the other counties to see, who holds those positions, who leaves, et cetera. But it'll be a mutiny. They've never been on defense before. They will turn on each other. And if they don't leave the office, the people will turn on them. So now when everybody learns how they operate and what they did, and everyone learns common law, we'll be teaching mercy.
right. And this is what the republic is built on. The republic is built on common law and we the people not being run by governments. Our
Yeah,
government
well,
leaders are are elected and we hold them accountable, but we have not been doing that through the years.
right. Well, because we weren't taught, but now we're
Right.
learning, right? So we learned by starting those social compacts. We learned by rereading the organic constitutions. And again, I do want to be clear. So you have two governments and two constitutions. So you have one for the fake, phony, false, corrupt. They call their bylaws all caps Constitution. So if you refer to Constitution, you say, why aren't you upholding my rights under the Constitution? Well, they're looking at it as like, well, because those are our bylaws. And under assumption, they're lying to you. They're just spell casting over you. Does that make sense? They're taking your energy and your desire for freedom and they're siphoning it in this fake constitution that they created. But in the Republic, we the people of the body sovereign, we vote in the trustees to uphold the Constitution, the organic Constitution. But we don't have any trustees in those seats. So who's there to uphold our Constitution?
So this is a big question that comes up. Where is the organic constitution? Because everybody that takes an oath, whether you're in the bar or whether you're in the military, is taking the oath to the Constitution with
Of the fake one.
of the fake one, but they think it's the Constitution because they don't know where the organic Constitution is. So where is that?
Just the first one in each state. You can see when it was signed. That's the first one. Go off that one. Even if in all your documents to these lawyers, these corrupt people that are trying to assume and presume you're an idiot because they fooled you with a fake constitution, instead of worrying about them, focus on just citing. And in any document you sign, you can have a glossary and you can say, for all purposes, the Constitution I'm referring to is the organic one signed in X date. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm holding my power with. And we really have power from God. It's all the God, like the forefathers, the way they laid it out, it was nature's law, which are unrebuttable, unrefutable. An owl can't go control another owl. We don't take claim over each other. No one is being forced. This is a free will realm. We choose who we want to contract with. And we're all contracting with this big fake illusion. The second we stop contracting with that, we contract with the solution. A new earth can't help but form. A new kingdom of heaven can't help but form.
Right.
Because it's a consciousness reality. In other words, it's a closed system. Under the law of correspondence, it's a closed mathematical system. If I give you a bunch of hate and you give me back hate, what are we going to keep getting more of?
Right.
But if you give me hate and I give you love, now you have a choice of what you want to contract with. You can either leave or you can choose love, right?
Right.
So we don't need to keep fighting. It isn't a fight. It's a serve them because you know who you are now. You know who they are now. Serve them, pile up their debts. But in the meantime, focus on the solution. And I think that's how, you know what I'm saying? That's how we start to really build power, where we fortify amongst one another.
Right. Well, that's what they have done throughout our history is divide and conquer. They
Mhm.
divide us all, religions divide us, our government, Republican, Democrat, the black, white, the, men against women. We're all divided and pinned against each other. And then they start something where we're going to have to fight, where there's always a winner or a loser. They do it with all the games, football games, basketball games. There's a winner, there's a loser. That's been our society.
It's duality. It's the age of Pisces. It's the separate fish. It's all about separation. One
Right.
versus, and there's an agenda to keep us separate at every single
Yes.
age, race, and religion.
Yeah.
However, we're here to put out duality. We're here to bring in dharma. And so how do you do that? Because you have to evaluate, because it's that Red Sea moment. It's not about good and evil.
Right.
It's about awake and not awake. Because you only have 1% global lead at the very top. So it really isn't about ego. We're all in the same mess together. Do you know what I mean? If we can move through all that MK Ultra and realize we're all in this together, bring it back into unity consciousness, because where we go, one we go all. And what, it even says in the end time prophecy that God would separate the goats from the sheep, those who are doing service to self versus those who are doing service to others. And if we just think about doing service to others, we can all forge our own types of communities once this is all said and done. We'll have sanctuary cities, we'll have star cities, we'll have open, world fairs where people can see all the latest and greatest technologies. That's where we want to go, but we have to call that in
Right.
the 3D duality world. And so by serving them, it forces them to wake up. So with the police, we're looking at a very soft red pill. It's like, look, here's all these documentaries. We're all slaves in the same system. You're working for the wrong guy. There was an acquisition. Why don't you come over and work for us? Sign a note to We the People. I think you thought you were doing that in the first place. Just get you over in the proper constitution and the proper de jure office. And now we're happy. Everyone's happy.
Right.
We can put you back to work.
Well, there is a saying that the dark serves the light, and in this case, it is. It's they have put out front and center out in the public what they're doing, their dark evil agenda, and it's making the light wake up even more to say, "Oh no, we're not going to go with what you're doing,
Yeah.
and we're standing up even more."
And that's what Trump did. He's the best example. He got them all to capitulate by dropping the paperwork. That's all
Right.
we're doing now is we're dropping the paperwork. Commit. They've been asking for our identification every time they pull us over. Why aren't we asking for theirs?
Right.
And we're just saying to them, look, I'm sorry to tell you, but Mr. Police Officer, every time you pull someone over and you traffic another person, you're taking a personal risk of $1 million. Why are you continuing there? You're only making 60K a year. Move you over here. And that is the checkmate move. If we all stand in light and we all shine light and
Right.
we all wake everybody else, we were all asleep at some point.
Yeah.
But now we need as many of those others to wake up so we can save as many souls from this planet as
Right.
possible.
I agree.
Mhm.
Well, I think that's a great place to end this. And I would love to have you back again because there's so much that we could talk about. And what you're doing is just awesome. So
I
keep going.
would love to, Holly, but next time I come, I promise to bring some hometown heroes.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure having you.
Thanks so much for having me, Holly. Have a wonderful day.
Okay, thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.